We are live on YouTube, just trying to get a feel to see where everything stands right now. All right. TikTok Live, have fun. Let's go. Live chat has popped out. Is just checking in today, guys. Hey, footballer Nick. Just doing the little updates here. Eagles still leading the Jags 22-16. Essentially 16 unanswered points by the Jags. Oh, now it's 28. Wow, look at that. Awesome. Let's go see let's take a closer look on YouTube here and see. I'll scroll up here because the mighty Eagles have extended their lead to a whopping 28. Let's see what happened here. Jalen Hurts has 2 passing touchdowns. Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts have rushing touchdowns. One of them must have rushed it in. Devontae Smith has a touchdown pass. He's put on a lot of yards receiving. Saquon Barkley has 40 yards and 1 touchdown. So big doings on this game. It was 22-0 at some point, Philadelphia, but Philadelphia is now up by 12 after Jacksonville had 16 unanswered points. It's 28-16. So it is, Philadelphia has increased their lead. And I want to say that it was a rushing touchdown. I could go to, I guess, the play-by-play, and they would tell me, wouldn't they? We're just checking in to see what everybody has. What is all this silliness? Touchdown, 8 plays, 91 yards. Shotgun Jay Hurts pass right. Oh, to Devontae Smith. Is that? I'm just trying to make sure I know what quarter this is. But all right, so we have right now Philadelphia just put up another touchdown. They're up 28-16. Cardinals, guys, some of this information today is even surprising me. I'll be honest with you. I did not expect the Cardinals to be spanking the Bears 29-9 with 4:35 in the fourth. I thought this game would be closer. I actually thought possibly that the Bears could win this game, but they've had no. Caleb Williams has pretty much been held in check. They have no touchdowns, I don't believe, in this game. The Lions are all over the Packers. I thought this one might be closer too. Let me go back to the scores here on ESPN or on YouTube. I'm on YouTube and TikTok as always. Cardinals are up 29-9. Detroit still leading in Green Bay, and that rain coming down 24-6. But excuse me, I didn't think it would be very high scoring, but it definitely is. Josh Centeno, I'm having a good week, projected 150 points. Oh my God, Josh, that is fantastic, dude. Thanks for the lightning bolt. Holy cow, 150 points. Good for you. So what couple players have been doing the best for you then, Josh? Obviously 150, you have a bunch of people going over those target numbers that I'm always talking about. So who are your big ones? Let us in. And then the Rams and Seahawks are tied at 13. I thought the Rams would be doing a lot better on this game. Let's take a little bit. I'll take a closer look on YouTube, and I'll just update. It looks like Kupp has 98 yards. Walker has 63 yards rushing for Seattle. And Geno Smith actually has 2 touchdowns. I guess they missed the extra point. I think that was actually 150 points. That's fantastic, Josh. Colts +6. Probably. This isn't necessarily a gambling show. I would, if that's what the line is, that's what the line is. Burrow, yeah, he had like 4 touchdowns. Pollard, Kupp, and had Chargers D. Very nice. Very nice, Josh. Great week for you. But it's still tied Seattle and Rams 13. And it looks like Geno Smith has 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. I got to say, Love has been disappointing. Is he still in the game? I turned the game off a little bit to go live, so I'm not 100% sure how that's going. But the Lions still lead, and no new scoring yet. But let's talk about some of these games that ended before all this. Falcons and Cowboys was a little bit, it was about what I thought it would be. I thought it could be a little bit more of a blowout, not a blowout rather, but more scoring. Wasn't as high scoring. Josh Burrow, do you like Pittman tonight? I mean, with Flacco quarterbacking, I do at 133 and still need Justin Jefferson to play tonight. That's really good. And, he'll probably get, at least 13 points for you. So it's at least 146 and you still, you're having a great week. This is something to celebrate, man, because it doesn't always work that way. The Bengals and Burrow had 5 touchdowns. I think I might have said 4 earlier. So that was a complete and utter blowout, really. The Raiders managed 24 points. Chase Brown had a big day. I don't think he scored any touchdowns, but he had 120 yards rushing. So he finally broke out. And Jacoby Myers for the Raiders, a name that's tossed around by you guys all the time to me. He had a big game with 105 yards. All right, the Chargers and Browns, I thought this one would be closer. I thought the Browns were sort of in a groove, but apparently not. Herbert had 282 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Just some good games by everybody. Mason Rudolph was the quarterback, had 240 yards for Tennessee. They won 20-17. He had 2 touchdown passes. Pollard had a big game with 128 yards. Ridley, who I predicted, I want to say Ridley also scored a touchdown. Did they not always put that in here? Let's see. No, Ridley had 73 yards, no touchdowns, but still a pretty good day for him. Ramondre Stevenson had 2 touchdowns for New England, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. Not a lot of yards. He had 38 yards receiving for a running back that isn't bad, and he had 16 yards rushing. And so he again has a really good day, but he doesn't put up massive numbers, but he puts up 2 touchdowns to help his cause, if you will, which is just incredible. A great day by him. Let's see who else. I don't think any of the other scores have changed here. I know I'm scrolling a lot on the people for TikTok. Chargers beat the Browns 27-10. Titans 2017. The Commanders squeaked by. That game got really close between the Commanders and the Giants. Giants scored 12 in the 4th, making it very close. Jaden Daniels had 209 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Tyrone Tracy had a decent game, 66 yards rushing. And Brown for Washington, although I want to say, I'm looking at that box score a little bit more. McLaurin had 2 touchdowns and just 19 yards receiving, but those 2 touchdowns netted him a lot of points. So he did a decent job with only 19 yards total. Austin Eckler had 41 yards receiving. He had 42 yards rushing and the touchdown. So a good day by him. Malik Neighbors, 59 yards, no touchdowns. They're kind of using him differently after his concussion, which has me worried a little bit. Tyrone Tracy had 66 yards rushing and just 3 yards receiving. So not a huge day for any of the Giants that we normally see. Let's then look at, okay, scores are the same on the games that are currently going on. Oh, the Rams now have a lead 19-13. Let's look into the box score there. 19-13. I think it was tied 13-all when we last checked in. Oh, it's 20. So they made the extra point. Stop with the advertisements here. So Stafford has 205 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Kyren Williams, 51 yards rushing. Cooper Kupp having a great day, but he's been stuck on 98 yards for quite some time. Demarcus Robinson has 55 yards and a touchdown. Kyren Williams, besides the 51 yards rushing, add so far 26 yards receiving. Kenneth Walker, decent day so far, 59 yards rushing for Seattle. He also has 20 yards receiving. JSN, big day for JSN, 1 TD, 92 yards receiving. And then Tyler Lockett had 63 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. But I guess the big news there is Matthew Stafford, if there's some way he throws another touchdown, he's going to get back to, a pretty decent number here. I know I was advocating him to a lot of people earlier in the day. So I want him to throw another touchdown or run one in or something like that. I noticed Bo Nix ended up having a decent day because he actually caught a pass. I haven't seen the replay of that. Hey, man, have a great night. I'm going to finish up. All right. Thanks, Josh. I'll be on live tomorrow night. Okay, who would I start, the Bucks defense or the Colts defense? Asked Frizzle on YouTube. Great question. Why is that? Okay, let me check into a couple things. All right. You're asking, so I'm getting some questions. Colin, I'm down 40. I definitely lost. Should I drop my kicker and pick up Steelers kicker Boswell? Yeah, I mean, if you think Boswell's had a pretty good day, Terry McLaurin had, I think, 2 touchdowns, but only 19 receptions. Let's see. I'm all over the map again, aren't I, guys? Yep, I am. What did Marvin Harrison have today? Let's see. I know I scroll kind of fast, guys. I apologize. For those looking on, let me go to all the games here. Where are the Cardinals? Cardinals. Oh, here we go. You asked about MHJ. I don't think he had a big game. Marvin Harrison Jr. has 34 yards receiving, no touchdowns, and nothing else. So just 34 yards today. Swift has 51 yards rushing for Chicago. Okay, but we're looking at Bucks defense or Colts defense. Let me look that up real quick and get back to you right now. Okay, so we go here and we go here and we go defense. We'll do points allowed, and you're asking again. Hold on, let me spread this out a little bit. You're asking for Bucks or Colts. Okay. The Bucks have given up the 4th most points, and the Colts are much more middling on that for fantasy points. I would go with the Colts based on the fact that they've only given up 172 points allowed. But let's see, hold on one second. The Colts have 8 games. I'm looking at 8 games here now. 8 games versus Tampa Bay's 8 games. Tampa Bay's given up 204. The Colts have given up 172. So about 30, so about 4 a game. So I would say overall, you're probably looking at the Colts as being a better defense. I know I go sometimes with yards and things like that, but that's what we're looking at right now. I would go with the Colts. I'm trying to kind of change up the way I look at defenses because I think I could be sort of narrow in focus. All right. The Eagles now are up just 28-23 against the Jags. So that game's getting closer. John says, yo, what's up? Full PPR. Dude, giving me CD and Tank for Kamara and Zay. Dude, giving me CD and Tank. Okay, wait a minute. John. Kamara had a decent day today. Zay had like 29 points today, something crazy. CD was injured today, something with his shoulder. I don't know what it was. He did not have a great day. And if you're talking about Bigsby, I think Bigsby, I'm just going to go back to how I always look this stuff up, but Bigsby, I think, had not really a great day at all. He had 2.3. Last week he had 9.6. There's still 2 minutes left, but I mean, how many points is Bigsby really going to get? My point is, Bigsby doesn't have much value. And CD, if somebody's giving you, dude, giving me CD and Tank for Kamara and Zay, keep Kamara and Zay, John. Keep Kamara and Zay, all right? Because CD might be injured. He came back in the game. He was out. There was something with his shoulder. I don't know what's going on there. So he might be out a while. And if you're talking about Tank Bigsby, now if you're talking about Tank Dell, it might be a different story. But Kamara and Zay, so running back, wide receiver, CD wide receiver, Tank Bigsby is a running back. Tank Dell had a big day now. So if you're getting CD and Tank Dell had a big day today, but Nico Collins is going to come back soon, so he won't be the number one in Houston, and he has been inconsistent. If you're talking about Tank Dell, that Tank Dell's a little bit better than Bigsby right now, but I would not give up Kamara and Zay. Kamara had a good game. All right, anything change here? The Rams up 20-13, Lions still up 24-6, and with 2:25 in the fourth, the Eagles are squeaking by the Jags by 5, 28-23. I think that we just have 3 games going on. Then we have tonight's game, so we'll go for a while longer, as close as we can to tonight's game, and see how we're doing. All right, John. All right, or your answer. I needed to know if I should take it or not. Yeah, I wouldn't take that. If it's Bigsby, I would definitely not take it, John. It's somebody's trying to screw you. I'm not trying to be mean. Hey, Bob, how are you, buddy? Bob, I think your team's doing well, right? That's what you had said. Awesome. You were wrong about I was completely wrong about Chuba. I said, and I'll admit it when I'm wrong. I said that Chuba wouldn't have any value. Thank you, Bob, for the roses. I said Chuba wouldn't have, or Chuba wouldn't have any value with Young as the quarterback. Young was a quarterback, and he had a great day. So I guess a blind squirrel finds a nut. I guess the main story here is, has Young, and I'm not going to go into it, but has Young possibly turned a corner? Because if you look at what he was doing earlier in the season, nobody was scoring any points on his team. Nobody was. Not Chuba, nobody. And now Chuba had a great game, so maybe Young is opening up everything for the other players. Oh, and I have not gone to the chat over in, oh my God. I haven't looked at the chat on, am I still on? Oh my God. Am I still on in, yeah, okay. Yeah, Frizzle, I answered your question. All right, let's see. Sean has a question. Bob, if you have anything else, I was wrong. You're right. I'll take my hits. I really, the analytics said that when Young is the quarterback, even Chuba doesn't score any points, but you got me. All right. Sean, let's see. I got to go. Can watch the game. But all right. Have a good day, Bob. Thanks for joining. My Dak and Taylor for his Daniels and Puka. You mean Jonathan Taylor. I like Daniels over Dak. The thing that scares me is Taylor over Puka. Puka didn't show up today, or he didn't in the first half. I don't know that let me just see real quick. I'm looking up on YouTube. We have about 3 people there. Don't forget to hit those likes, guys, and also hit follow. I'll be live tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, maybe Friday. I go live on Saturday mornings usually. And then I was live this morning before the shows. But let's see what Puka has done here. Puka has 1 reception. He was targeted 4 times for 11 yards. So a much different game than last time. Now, Kupp, here's the thing I don't understand. Kupp has been stuck at 98 yards for I think half this game almost. So He was targeted 12 times. He has 10 receptions for 98 yards, so 9.8 yards per reception. He got ejected. Ooh. Kupp got ejected? Is that what you mean, Sean? Or Puka got ejected? Well, it doesn't really matter, I guess. He got ejected. Which one got ejected? Puka got ejected. Okay. Well, then that makes sense. All right. Because I'm not seeing the game. I didn't see that game. I was actually watching the Detroit game where they're up big. So let me go back to the scores here on YouTube. Dude, I bet on Kyren Williams to score. He hasn't scored? Kyren Williams hasn't scored? Well, let's see. Does Kyren Williams, what's his scoring like? I always look at points. I'm not really like a gambling per se. I don't have that spin to what I do. It's mostly pure fantasy. So I'm a little bit of a betting virgin, if you will. But okay, so there's 844. Oh, man. He has 53 yards rushing, Kyren. He has 26 yards receiving, but he has no touchdowns. Wow. He had one touchdown receiving last week. I mean, there's still time in the game, and it's close enough that they're going to use all the weapons. So the game, okay, I'm trying to be positive, but the game's not over. There's still 8 minutes left or something like that. So he could score. You know, that's not without a question. So what about Dak, Dobbins, and Chubb for Daniels and Puka? Dak, Dobbins, and Chubb. Nick Chubb, right? You're not talking Chuba. You're talking Chubb. What did Chubb do today? Boy, Cleveland, I thought they'd maybe turned a little bit of a corner, but they did not do well. I think Tillman ended up having a decent game at least. Yeah, Chubb had 4 points today. Ooh, ouch. What did Tillman have? I'm just going to look that up while I have everybody on. Let me go back to the scores. All right. 28-23, 24-14, 20-13. Okay, Cedric Tillman today, and I'm just throwing this out because he was someone I was really high on this week. He had 16.5 points. I mean, Cedric Tillman in the last 3 weeks, he's had 14 points, 25 points, 16.5 points. And the last 2 games have been with Jameis Winston. So he's had a pretty good run there. All right. Puka got ejected. Wow. Okay. Well, then that makes sense. You bet on Kyren Williams could still score, Nick. Most likely winning my game because of Devontae Smith last minute. Yeah, I mean, Devontae Smith puts up good numbers. I believe, though, Ishjin, if you're still around, I believe with Devontae, he didn't really have a good first half, but he came on in the second. I was shocked to hear what his point total or that, he had in the teens or whatever. Okay. Should I do CJ Stroud for Brock Purdy? Well, CJ Stroud, okay, Damon, here's the thing I have with that is CJ Stroud has not, if you have CJ Stroud, then, and if you've started him over the last few weeks, he's really had some struggles, okay? And Purdy's going to get CMC back. Stroud's going to get Nico back in just a couple of weeks. So probably around the same time, they're going to get, a key player back. Do I think that CJ Stroud is playing up to his level? I don't think so. He had like 11 points today, I want to say. But I think San Francisco's offense is in disarray to a certain extent. So I don't love what either one of them are doing. So I don't know. That's a good question because CJ Stroud has not been playing well, and you got to figure that Brock Purdy, should be turning it around, but they still have a lot of injuries in San Francisco. Debo, Jennings, obviously, Ayuk is out. They're not, Houston's not going to get Diggs back, but they're going to get Nico back. They're going to have Dell. Maybe they make a trade for someone. Here's the thing, Damon. I would hate for you to trade CJ Stroud and get Brock Purdy and all sort of the baggage that comes currently with Brock Purdy. And then with CJ Stroud, he turns into CJ Stroud again in 2 to 3 weeks when Nico comes back. And that's probably what will happen. But you might say to me, well, Brock Purdy's going to see him, Christian McCaffrey back. Okay, I get it. If you feel strongly on, Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey, then yeah, I would definitely go with that. But I just think that CJ will come back around. He's really been inconsistent. He's had some bad weeks currently, but I wouldn't give up totally. Thoughts on Joe Flacco over 1.5 pass TDs? Jefferson 59. Okay, now Dame VFX. I'm not necessarily like a betting guy. I do like pure fantasy team kind of stuff, but I'll try to just take a look and see what maybe. Let me just go through. Let me scroll some of these games so people can at least see them on TikTok. I don't know if I'm in TikTok penalty anymore. I think I still am a little bit, but I know people are watching the game too, so I don't want to discount that as well. All right, there's under 2 minutes left. Eagles and Jags 28-23. But you're asking about Flacco. Okay, let me look at Joe Flacco here. I have way too many. I have to work on 2 different computers for stupid reasons because things aren't compatible. He played Pittsburgh. They have a pretty good defense. He's obviously playing Minnesota tonight. They have a pretty good defense. He had 2 touchdown passes against Pittsburgh, and that's all you need, right? Is 1.5 passing TDs. I would say that Flacco does that. He's played in 3 games. He's had 2 TD passes, 3 TD passes, and 2. So, I mean, the numbers are there that he averages more than that. So I would say that is there. Let's look at Jefferson real quick. Can't believe I'm doing this because I usually there is sort of a gray area where, some of this, you're looking at the data all the time and you can kind of figure out what players might do. Okay. Justin Jefferson, you said 59.5. Okay. Receiving yards. All right. He had 115, 81, 92, 85, 81. Yeah, 59.5 against Indianapolis. I would say definitely over receiving. If you're talking Dame VFX, if you're talking 59.5 yards, obviously, I'm assuming that's what it is. I don't know what else it could be, I guess. I'm not that brain dead. He's beaten that every week, but week 1 when he got 59 yards. He's had 100 after week 1, 133, 81, 85, 92, 81, 115, and you can throw against Indy. The only thing that might come up is if Minnesota gets to a big lead, they might limit Jefferson coming in, or they might limit the targets to Jefferson and run the ball more. And so that will slow things down. But I would say, he's had almost double that amount. He's had 115, almost double, and then 133 in week 2. And he had 115 last week. So yeah, I would think that he could go over that. In 3 receptions, he'll probably be over 59.5. Okay. Baker, 16.7 over fantasy points. I'm assuming you mean. I think Baker will be over 16.7 fantasy points. You can throw against the Chiefs. You can't run. Okay. But he has White out of the backfield and Spears coming out of the backfield. He has Otten, and hopefully he'll be able to throw to Jalen McMillan, who I keep talking about, but he had very few points last week. You can throw against the Chiefs. It's tough to run against them, but you can throw against them. So I'm a little bullish on what Baker will do. Did we just have a change in the score here? Oh, I think the Packers scored. It's 24-14. Yeah, I believe they did. Was it 24-6? And now they put in the 2 point. Is Sutton a must start going forward? Great question. Let me just double check that, but I tend to agree. Things are going well for Sutton, down in Denver, and he seems to be in a good sync with Nix. I would think so. The last 3 games that he's played, he's had 13, 13, and 19. He had 122 yards today, 100 last week. Then when he got 13.3, he had 53 and 1 touchdown. Now, he doesn't score a lot of touchdowns, but the fact that over the last 2 weeks, he's given us, or given you, or whatever it might be, 100 and 122 yards, I would say most definitely. Because what I like about that is it's not reliant. If you look at Ramondre Stevenson, okay? Ramondre Stevenson, the thing I don't love about Ramondre is, yes, he puts up these bulky numbers that stand out. Like, I think he's had 22 points this week and the week before, but it's because he has 2 touchdowns in both those games, okay? And today's game going against the Titans, well, Titans stink. They stink. You can't assume that he's going to get that. You can't assume that he's always going to get 2 touchdowns. I mean, let's be honest. You can't always predict. It's more difficult to predict the touchdown sometimes than it is just the pure yards. And if someone's getting 100 yards, I like TJ. I think that is, I think you nailed it on the head. He's one of those guys that, I'm going to put down for this week that, Sutton, if he's out there, pick him up. If you have him, start him. Those kinds of messaging. I think you're right on the money with that. Dame FX, you're welcome. No problem. All right. Hey, thanks for the follow too. Don't forget, if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe. If you're on TikTok, hit that follow. Don't forget to hit those likes. I live on those hearts. I don't know how much longer I'll really be on. I was on this morning or earlier today. It wasn't this morning technically, but I just wanted to do something. I was just getting a little antsy in between games, and it looked like Detroit was going to win that one, so I wasn't that worried about it. Let's just check in the scores real quick. I was a little surprised that the Bills-Dolphins game was that close. Achane had a great game. I think he had 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving, 1 passing, right? Wasn't that it? Achane had 63 yards rushing and 1 touchdown, and he had 58 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. What I didn't like is Tyreek Hill had 80 yards, no touchdown, and Waddle had 2 receptions and -4 yards. So I'm really rethinking, I get a lot of questions about Waddle, obviously, and I'm really trying to rethink like what to do with Waddle, what the advice should be with Waddle, because I know that this, today's game especially doesn't show what type of player he is, but he did not have a good game. The other thing too is James Cook with Buffalo had just 44 yards rushing. Now he did receive 25 yards, but he had no touchdowns. And Ray Davis led Buffalo in receiving with 70 yards. Khalil Shakir had 50 yards, but Keon Coleman only had 21 yards. So he's dropped off. Buffalo's going to be a little tough on the receiving. Now, I don't know exactly what happened, but I don't see Amari Cooper in here at all. So maybe was he questionable? I'm trying to think. So many people this week were questionable, but was Amari Cooper questionable and he didn't play? That might be what it is. Yeah, he's out, but he had a wrist, inactive for Sunday's game. Okay. Wow. All right. So yeah, I mean Buffalo's. I don't know what to do about Buffalo and their receiving. James Cook did not have a great day. Ray Davis apparently had a great day, so I'll have to sort of study Ray Davis a little bit more, if that makes sense. I need Sam Darnold to outscore Aaron Jones, says Braden M. I think he can. I really think Darnold is going to play a lot better I was a little surprised that New Orleans lost. I thought with Derek Carr back, it would be, it would be their game to win, but that was not the case. Which, where are we at here? Where's Sunday night's game? Boy, okay. Colts and Vikings. I think Darnold will have a lot of points today. I don't know if they're going to use Addison though. Everybody asked me about Addison. I don't know if they're going to have, Oh, right. So the Eagles did win. That game is final 28-23. The Eagles won. Do we only have one game going on now? I think so. The Bears lost to the Cardinals 29-9. I didn't necessarily see that coming. And the Lions did beat the Pack 24-14. So, look, if I haven't looked at all the numbers, but I got to say that Detroit looks like, if not the best, top 2, top 3 at worst. NFC teams, Detroit is. And so Eagles beat the Jags. Someone asked about what do you call those? Where you play until everybody loses a game. Someone asked, and I said, well, I think the Eagles will beat the Jags. I had no idea that game would be 5 points difference. I thought for sure the Eagles would, open up that win a little bit. That was not a very pretty game. Okay, so with 2:41 in the fourth quarter, the Seahawks are losing to the Rams 20-13, and the Rams have the ball. So you got to figure that, yeah, they're probably winding down the clock, but they got to do some things and score. Okay, I have a bunch of questions on TikTok here. Is MJ worth keeping or trading? Here's the thing with MJ, Tony, and I totally understand what you're saying. And guys on TikTok especially, or ladies and guys on TikTok, please follow. I go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Friday, Saturday mornings. I'm going to try to go live on Sundays consistently. Sometimes I used to take Sundays off. Here's the thing, Tony. Your question is great. Probably what you might want to think to do, okay, is if you can hold on to him for a week and think if he has a good game like he did last week, try to trade him, okay? But then I think somebody said to me in one of their leagues, the trade deadline is November 16th, and we're kind of approaching that. But next week would be the 10th. So you still would have time to trade him. You have to wait another week, obviously, because he didn't have a good game, Tony. So you might want to do that, okay? Or you can try to trade him in the interim. Maybe someone doesn't follow as closely and doesn't realize, that he had an off game, or they see the game from 2 weeks ago and they think, oh, I'm going to get a guy that can score 20 points or whatever it was he put up. He had a good game. So you can try this. You can try before next weekend, but you might also want to wait if you can keep him on your bench for a week and see if he puts up another big game and then try to ship him out. So, okay, we talked about Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold will do well against Indy. Most quarterbacks do. Start Downs or Rachaad White? Oh, we're still talking about starting people, huh? I guess we have room for that. Well, let me look that up real quick. Downs, hold on. I had Downs today. I was talking about him today. Downs is going against the number 30 pass defense in the Vikings. But let me check something before we go with that. The Vikings, points allowed. The Vikings, that 30th rank is from average yards per game. I'm looking at how many points they've given up here. Where in the heck are the Vikings? God, okay, the Vikings have given up a paltry 135 points this year, their defense. The Chargers have given up only 89 points, but that's in 7 games. The Vikings, that was in 7 games on 135. So they don't give up a lot of points, but they give up a lot of yards passing. So, so that's Downs. Okay, who was the other person real quick? I'm trying to think. Colts over Vikings. Okay, good for you. Rooting on your team. That's what I love to see. Hey, I live in St. Louis. I don't have a team. I do not have a team. I'm a man on an island kind of so to speak. And you can say, you know, in my lifetime, I've lost 2 NFL teams. The Cardinals, yes, for those who don't know, the Arizona Cardinals used to be in St. Louis, and they left in 1988, which broke my heart. And then the Rams left, which I kind of knew that was coming at least. I think, I mean, you know, not to be mean to blind people, but blind people could have seen that one. I mean, that was written all over. I mean, Stan Kroenke, by moving the team, I don't love Stan Kroenke by any stretch, but from a business perspective, he made a good decision. I think the Rams were worth like what, $1 billion in St. Louis and then $3 billion in LA. Well, yeah, shoot, I would have done it. Now he did it. He was mean to St. Louis on the way out. That's what I didn't like. He, you know, basically said like ripped on the fans and ripped on the city and da 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 da. You know, just painted a real bad picture of St. Louis. I don't appreciate that. Let's look at Rashad. 13-26 goes against Kansas City. Now, Kansas City does not give up a lot of rushing anything, but Rashad the last 2 weeks has been receiving the ball. He scored 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago and a touchdown last week catching the ball. Running, he's had 40 yards and 29 yards. So he doesn't, you know, they have a 3-headed monster there with Bucky Irving and Spears. But at least Rashad comes out of the backfield and catches the ball. So that will help him. So you can't rule him out, although the Chiefs are much better against the run. All right. So let me just look up Downs again. Where am I going? Oh, boy. What are we doing here? Downs. Where's Downs? Sorry about this, guys. I always take long because I have to do this analytic thing because I don't want to say I'm OCD. When you guys ask me a question, I try to think like, what would I do? You know? All right, let's put this up to, there's 127 left, and the Rams are still up 20-13. Okay, Josh Downs had 20 points. They play Minnesota. Minnesota's, doesn't have great pass defense. The Chiefs, on the other hand, are great against the run, but not as great against the pass. Now, when it comes to overall sort of defense, the Vikings, well, let me double check on this. The Vikings, what did I say here? The number of points they've allowed, it was 135. The Chiefs have given up 123 points. So 12, that's about a point a week, a little more. It's going to be virtually, it's indistinguishable virtually, really, if you look at it. But I would say overall, let me just look at overall. The Chiefs are number 5. The Vikings are 18. I would go with Downs based on the matchup. On that one. All right. Let me do a reset real quick. If you're on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. What few people we have on TikTok, because I think I might still be in the penalty box there. Although I haven't heard anything, but the TikTok, I posted a video that TikTok said that I copied from somebody else, which I didn't. It's my voiceover. It's my face on the video talking. I think it's because it's a horizontal video and not a vertical one, because I made one and I posted it on my YouTube channel. Then I posted it on TikTok. And so they think that I probably stole it. So I don't get as many viewers the last couple days as I've been getting. So we'll see how that goes. How about the Lions? Yes. Are you just saying that in general? Hey, I said earlier, the Savage G son. I said the Lions are probably, if not the best, 2 or 3 easy. I don't want to get into a debate with everyone. I think they're the best team in the NFC. I think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC. I think Baltimore did a great job of rebounding themselves from 2 losses in a row, was it? I want to say on the last couple of weeks. So, they're probably in the top 3 again. Pittsburgh's up there. They had a bye. That's why we're not talking about them. But with Wilson, it's a whole different team at quarterback. I'm up. Okay. Ozair says, I'm up 36 and he is Justin Jefferson and the Bucs kicker. Am I good? Well, you got to figure that the Bucs kicker easily probably kicks 10 points. I'm just saying, like, conservatively speaking, he gets 10 points, and Justin Jefferson then would have to get 27. And let me double check here. I don't think Justin Jefferson 27. There is a chance that Justin Jefferson could get over 20. Is it likely? No. I mean, I think you have it wrapped up. I think it's slim. I think the guy might have a 20 to 25% chance of winning under those conditions. Okay. Not Detroit number 1 in the whole league. Detroit number 1 in the whole league. I like the confidence. No problem with that. I think they're looking really good. I love the fact that Detroit has a good team. And maybe I sound weird saying that, but it's the truth. Okay, the Seahawks have the ball with 102 left in the 4th. I love Detroit has. I think Detroit's a great sports town. I think they're a fantastic sports town. I love Comerica Park, or if that's what they still call it. But I've been there, I don't know, 2 times. I love Comerica Park. I love Detroit. I love that area where the ballpark is, all of that kind of stuff. So I love Detroit. I love that they have a good team. I love the fact. The other reason why I really like Detroit, and I'm just going to tell you this, I was saying that stuff about Stan Kroenke and how I didn't really, because I'm from St. Louis, and I didn't like what he said about St. Louis sort of on the way out when he moved the Rams back to LA, which is fine. We stole the team from LA. LA got the team back. I totally get it. I'm not going to put up a fight about that. I just didn't like what Stan Kroenke said on the way out about St. Louis and the fans. We were pretty loyal. He was putting up a crummy product. I mean, he was really putting up a crummy product. We were pretty loyal up until about the last 1 or 2 seasons. Well, 2 seasons, and then we knew he was moving pretty much. But, we were pretty loyal to the guy, and a lot of the decisions, that the team was making was just, they weren't great. They were really bad. And anyway, so let me get to my point here. And I love the fact that Jared Goff was sort of shunned by the Rams, went to Detroit. So not that I've ever met Goff, not that I ever will. I don't predict that ever. We got a tie. Seattle and the Rams, 51 seconds left in the 4th. It's 2020. Holy cow, we got a real game going on here, guys and ladies. But I love the fact that Jared Goff was shunned by the Rams. So you got to think that he hates the Rams. I hate the Rams. I hate Kroenke. I don't know if he hates ownership, but I'm guessing he might because, ownership okays trades and things like that for the most part. So that's why I like that. Okay, should I start Cade Otton or Travis Kelce? Great question. I mean, that is a fantastic question. I think it's easier for Mahomes to throw the ball to Kelce than it's going to be Baker Mayfield to throw the ball in that Chiefs defense to Cade Otton. I love Cade Otton, don't get me wrong. But the fact that Kelce had a good game last week makes me feel like Kelce could have another good game because they had Hopkins. Now, Hopkins only had a few days to get into the system with the Chiefs. So he might have a bigger presence in this game. That's what I thought that Reed would, be putting up big schemes for Hopkins. He didn't. He didn't really, he kind of laid a little flat last game. So let's see. I have the Rams game on in YouTube. I just want to make sure. So I'm not completely boring you guys. So I have a team where I have Travis Kelce and Cade Otton, and I'm starting Travis Kelce. That kind of goes against the idea that, I think that you can pass on the Chiefs, like you can throw the ball on the Chiefs. You can. However, I think that given the last game, I feel like Mahomes also started putting Kelce back into the rotation, if you will, kind of in the offense. And I see that as a strong probability. You know, it's weird to say this. I almost see Cade Otton as the steady pick and Kelce as the riskier pick, actually. So if you want the steadier pick, the one that's been doing well for more weeks in a row leading up to this game, you go with Otton. If you want to go with a little more risk, you can go with Kelce. And I'm not telling you should risk. I tend to. I think I'm going against a weaker opponent, so I just left Travis Kelce in there. Unfortunately, I have Swift at the flex. I don't think he got a bunch of points. I should have put Cade Otton in the flex at least. So that was my mistake. All right. Someone said Cade Otton or TJ Hawkinson. Here's the thing with Hawkinson. I talked about this earlier today, did a little research. Hawkinson is just coming back. We need to give him a week or two to get up the game speed and all of that. I think they'll even sort of have a pitch count on him or a play count with him. I don't think he's going to be in, the most plays he'll be in this season, Hawkinson. And for that reason, I would go with Cade Otton. I'm up 36. Okay, we talked that one. How about those Lions? They're doing awesome. Will Josh Downs make 17 points? Okay, I'm not a prognosticator. Josh Downs against Minnesota, he would have to score a touchdown. The thing with Josh Downs that scares me is he only has 3 touchdowns on the year, and he's played in like 6 games. And just to make the math a little wonky, he did have a touchdown last week. So it's almost like he's kind of due not to score a touchdown. And why I say that is that's 6 points, okay? He had 20 points with a touchdown and 109 yards. So even if he gets 109 yards, that's 14 points. He needs a touchdown and at least 80 yards, something like that, to get 17. I think that's a tall order against Minnesota. The only reason that would happen, again, I'm not a prognosticator. The only reason why that might happen is if Minnesota opens up a big lead, which they might be able to do against Indianapolis. But I will tell you this, that most of the games I've watched today or I've followed or whatever the case might be, and where are we at with the score here? It's 40 seconds left, right? And it's 2020 still. But most of the games I've watched have not really gone the way that I thought they would. So I don't based on that, based on how these other teams are doing today. So it's sort of a leaf in the wind, if you will. But I'm thinking that Minnesota doesn't blow out Indianapolis, that it's a closer game. Maybe it's 2 scores. Maybe it's 10 points, 11 points, up to 14 points or 15 points. But it's not a 30-point blowout, a 20-point blowout. It's not a 3-score differential. So I don't think Josh Downs is going to get to 17 points. I don't think so. I think he could get to 13. I don't know that he's getting to 17. He's going to have to catch a touchdown pass and get 18 or 80 yards receiving. How much do you think Vikings D will score? My opponent had them, and I'm down by 10 with Otton left. It's hard to, let me just look and see here's the thing about Minnesota's defense. Okay. You can look at it one of 2 ways. They've had 2 bad weeks. The defenses. Minnesota's had 2 bad Minnesota. How do I spell that wrong? Minnesota had 1 point. Well, I guess they didn't do too bad against Detroit. They had 11, 16, 8, but they had 1 point last week against the Rams. But that was with Puka and Cooper back. I could see where they, against the Jets, they had 16, against Green Bay 8, Houston 13, San Francisco 13. They don't have a light schedule, that's for sure. I could see Minnesota getting 8 to 13 points. I know that's a wide. I think Minnesota gets at least 8 points tonight. I think they get at least 8 points, and they could get up to 13. But for me to predict anything over 13, like they've had 16 during the season, week 1 they had 22. I'm not going to predict that high. But from a fantasy standpoint, I think they're between 8 to 13, probably let's just say 10 to be safe. I play in a median league. I've gone 10-0 in the last 5 weeks of fantasy football. Well, you, Tariq Scooball supporter, you are awesome. I mean, that is beyond belief. So congratulations. My hat off to you. I don't want to show my complete. I'm not completely bald, but I don't like showing my head that much. All right. Don't forget, while I do this little stupid puzzle TikTok gives me, don't forget to hit that like button. It's the end of 4. And the Rams and the Seahawks are still tied 20-20. We had another game that went in to overtime. Was that the New England Titans game? Yeah, I think it was. All right, I'm up 30.1, and my opponent has Jefferson and Aaron Jones to play. Thoughts? They could both get 15 points. They both could get 17 points. I mean, you figure, Jefferson could have 100 points and a touchdown, which gives him 16, 17 points. Jones could have 80 yards and a touchdown, which gives him, 14, 15 points? So it'll be close. Again, Dimples, the one thing to think about is there is a chance, I don't know how much, but there is a chance that the Vikings come out and take a gigantic lead and begin to crush the other team, and somebody like Jefferson is not a target as much. So his numbers go down, and maybe Aaron Jones gets more of the carries to kill the clock, if you will, or eat the clock, or whatever you want to say. So there is that possibility, but then that increases probably Aaron Jones' numbers. But then there is a probability that, it's not just Aaron Jones grabbing everything, that Aaron Jones will have a little help based on the depth chart. And I'm just pulling that up right now. And I guess that's Ty Chandler or Cam Akers who's back, but Cam Akers is more of a punt and kick returner. So there is a chance, Dimples. Not huge, but there is a chance. All right, Dylan, how much do you think Vikings D will score? Oh, yeah, already answered that. Is Mike Gesicki a good pickup off the waiver wire? He was earlier in the season. I haven't looked at him in a while. Gesicki is, wow, 24 points this week, 8.8 last week. He had 2 touchdowns. He had 100 yards. I mean, again, in a 10-team league, Athens, you want your tight end to get you 7 points or higher. The last 2 weeks, he's done that. He had 8.8, and then today, obviously, he was off the charts great, 24.5. He's only gone over 7 points one other time this year. So, also, they were playing Las Vegas. Yes, I think depending upon what other tight ends you have, if you have Otten or Bowers or Andrews, maybe it's not a great pickup because those guys probably you should start in front of him because he's inconsistent. But if you're desperate for a tight end, it's probably a good pickup. Here's the thing about Gesicki. They play Baltimore next week at Baltimore, so that'll be a real test. The one thing to remember, just going into that, don't fear anyone or don't fear anything, is Baltimore is one of the worst teams, depending upon what you look them up for, whether it's average yards given up, passing defense, or if it's number of points. I think they're 31 on points, average points given up per game, but average yards per game, they give up the most, 32 out of 32. So you can pass, you can throw the ball on when you're playing Baltimore from a defensive standpoint. So he could put up another game where he's over 7 points. My only fear, though, is that he's sort of come up in the last 2 weeks. So, yes, it's good to have, especially if you don't have another good tight end. Very good pickup. Very good pickup. A lot of people probably would miss it who are in your situation. So that's awesome. So, yeah, I think that was a pretty good pick off waivers. Rams or Seahawks? Well, here's the thing. I have to say probably Rams, only because I told a lot of people, like, that starting Stafford was a good idea. And I don't think Stafford has that 19-point mark yet, which I like quarterbacks to get. I think he's only thrown for 1 touchdown today. So that keeps it low. He's way down. He's 11.76 points. So I'm going to say Rams because I did tell everyone that, or I told a few people that, maybe play Stafford, or maybe I didn't. Maybe there was just few and far between. I told a few people, but here's the thing with Puka out, that probably killed his day. Let's be honest. But yeah, I'm going with the Rams only because, and I have Matthew Stafford starting on one of my teams. Little did I know that, Puka would be kicked out of a game. We had a lot of injuries early today, too, on a lot of my teams. Kelsey or Rashad? Will Michael Pittman or Josh Downs have a better game? I think Downs will have a better game. I think he's been consistently better over the last couple of weeks. Devangelo 20. I think the Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFC. I think they're probably number 2 in the NFL behind the Chiefs, but that's just me saying that. Okay. Maybe I'm a little biased with Kansas City because I do like Patrick Mahomes a lot, and I like Andy Reid's offense. And as much as I hated Spagnuolo when he coached the Rams, because I'm here in St. Louis, I think that he's a really good defensive coordinator. I don't think he was a great head coach, but I think he's a great defensive coordinator. Okay, Josh Downs or Otton at flex? I actually think in that case, Josh Downs is probably a safer pick. And I say that only because Otton and Tampa Bay going up against, you agreed, Devangelo. Thank you very much. That's just what I'm thinking with them. I think Downs might be a safer pick over Otton, although Otton has had 14 points and 24 points, and I'm really high on Otton, and I think, he'll probably do well. I do think the Chiefs have a good defense. You can throw the ball on the Chiefs, so that makes me feel good about Otton. But I think Downs going against such a bad pass defense in the Vikings, like 30th for yards on average per game. So that's why I would go with Downs on that one. There was somebody I read. Okay, Kate Otton or no, I already answered that one. It was somebody else. Rams or Seahawks? Oh, we talked about Gesicki. Oh, it was Kelsey or Rashad. Well, the one thing, as I said earlier, the one good thing about White is the fact that he does catch the ball out of the backfield. I mean, that's where he's gotten, I think, most of his points, because they were all with passes out of the backfield. So, and I looked him up he's had 26, 13 points the last 2 weeks. Last week, obviously, is without Evans and Godwin. Seahawks have the ball with 7:25 in OT. Okay, I'm not watching that as closely as I probably should. I'm assuming that the Seahawks have had the ball the whole time. Don't they play 10-minute OTs? Isn't that it? 10 minutes, not 15? All right, so, and White he's a running back, but he caught 1 touchdown pass last game and 2 the game before. And you can pass against them. So if they're in short yardage, they're goal line kind of thing, or maybe even not that. I mean, he had 5 receptions for 38 yards, so that's over 7 yards. He had 6 receptions for 71 yards. That's over 10 yards when he had the on average, the 2 touchdowns. I would go with Rachaad White because I think that he's part of the offense. Again, as I said earlier, someone asked me Kelce or Otton. I think Kelce's a little bit more of a risk. He's more of a risk than he was, 2 years ago. Last year, maybe a little bit more of a risk. But I think Rachaad White is good enough, and he's less of a risk over Kelce right now. I feel like Otton is a little less than a risk compared to Kelce risk, if that makes sense. All right. ALR, thanks. Because the Dolphins have a very bad record, so come playoff time, they might not start him, do you think? Oh, boy. I don't know who you're talking about, Chase Atkins. Start who? Start. You're talking about the Dolphins. I'm trying to see if you had. Sometimes, apparently, TikTok filters out comments, so I don't see every comment, is what someone told me this week. So, Barge says, Geno Smith is a beautiful man. Well, game's not over yet, right? Geno Smith worries me. He worries me. He started the season. Oh, Tyreek. Okay. Because the Dolphins have a very bad record, so come playoff time, they might not start him, do you think? Playoff time? I don't think Miami's making the playoffs. If you're talking about fantasy playoffs, he'll probably be playing then. He's not been putting up Tyreek's not been putting up good numbers, even with Tua. I don't know what he got today. Let me just see. He had 10 points today. He had 10 points last week. He had 72 yards receiving 2 weeks ago. He had 80 yards this week. So is he getting better? He went up against Buffalo. He went up against Arizona. They're not great shakes defensively. It's not like playing Pittsburgh or the Chiefs maybe or anything like that. I guess what it comes down to, Chase, because the Dolphins have a very bad record, come playoff time, they may not start him. I think they'll start him if he's available. They don't want to lose games. Now, if Tua goes down again, I could see where they may change things up because it's almost a different team when Tua's not quarterbacking. But I would think that they're going to play Tyreek for the next, 8 weeks. Well, okay, 6 weeks. Isn't that around playoff time? I mean, they want to win. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, if that's what you're asking me. Flacco or Darnold? I'm still getting those questions. I think Flacco will be an improvement, but I got to go with Darnold. I just think Minnesota's a better team. Jefferson is a great receiver. Maybe Addison can join in on some of the catches this week. But I would go with Darnold. Flacco, let me just look at Flacco real quick. Let's see. He's played 3 weeks, I know. 14, 26, 15. So of the 3 weeks, he's only gotten over 20 points once. The reason why I say that, and that was against a bad Jacksonville team, he's not going up against a bad Jacksonville team. He only had 14 points against Tennessee. The Titans do have a better defense than Jacksonville. He went up against Pittsburgh and got 15 points. My guess is he's going to get about 15 points, Joe Flacco. So that's why I would say Darnold. I think Darnold's going to have closer to his 20 points. And the reason why I'm getting at those numbers is because if you play in a 10-team fantasy league, you want your quarterback to have 19 or over points per game. And that is sort of a recipe for winning week in and week out. Yeah, JSN is really making you regret not starting him. I totally get it. Those interdivisional games can be weird. I mean, did the other game end? What do we got? What do we got? Oh, the Rams beat the Seahawks 26-20. Whoa! What happened? Let's see. Let me go over here. The Rams pull off the win. Final in OT. Second quarter. Let's go to fourth. Let's go to overtime. Demarcus Robinson pass from Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford got himself some more points, which I was telling some people I was worried about because I was telling people like, oh, I think Matthew Stafford, is a good idea to pick in some situations people were giving me. So how many points did Stafford end up with? He had at least, because 4 points now is a touchdown. So he got at least 15, 15. He had 18.92. You round up, that's 19. So he got to 19. That's the number I'm always talking about. Season is cooked. Oh, that stinks. I'm sorry about Charles. If you're talking about your fantasy team, I'm sorry about that. That's tough to keep going forward with that. JSN, though, getting back to you, Cody. JSN, someone I'm going to really have to look at this week. And I'm not just saying that. Let me see. Sutton, JSN. Sutton, I think, is you can almost start him week in and week out. I think, there comes a time for that. JSN, have to review, like, is he a starter? And then I have to figure out when DK's coming back so I can talk about it. Start Casey or Cade Otton. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what I told the last guy who asked me the same question. And I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm saying I don't even have to look this one up. Cade Otton, to me, is a steadier pick. Now, do I think he'll get 24 points like he did last week? No, I don't think that he will. I think he could probably get you 12 to 14 in a 10-team league. You want now, obviously, well, you're talking tight end here. You want your tight ends to give you 7 or more points. I think Cade Otton will definitely get you that. I think Kelsey, while he had a good week last week, and he has kind of a good upside going against Tampa Bay, going against Cade Otton's team. Okay, he has a great upside. My only fear is Kelsey's been like this. I mean, he's been like this all year. And so will we get Kelsey that we got last week, or will we get Kelsey that we got like 5 or 6 weeks ago where he gets like 3 points? You don't want the 3 points. I think Cade Otton gets you at least 7 points. In a 10-team league, you want your tight end to get you at least 7 points, all right? Kelsey could get you 3 points. He can get you 20 points. So he's a little bit more of a risk. So if you don't mind taking that risk, you can start Kelsey. If you want to definitely get your 7 points, or let's say you're hoping he might get 10, I think Cade Otton gets you 10, really. I don't know how many more points over 10 he gets you, okay? I'm so cooked. I have JT left, and they have Otton and Josh Downs. We are tied FML. Yeah. Well, maybe JT will, score 35. Look at Alvin Kamara. He had 43 points in week 2. So you got to kind of hope for that. And maybe Otton, I don't wish this to happen to anyone, but maybe Otton gets hurt or Baker gets hurt, and it changes the whole tenor of that game on Monday night. I'm not, let's face it, there's probably a good chance, Edgar, that things aren't going to go your way, but I totally get it. But you just never know. There was somebody, I think Bob here, who hearted me. He's a super great guy. He's a big supporter, and he's just a great guy. I think it was him. One of his players, or he had 2 or 3 players that just had like season kind of games today, and so you just never know. Flacco or Patrick Mahomes? I would go Mahomes because he had 19 points last week, and that's what you want in a 10-team league. And Flacco's only had over 19 points 1 out of the 3 weeks he's played. Plus, Minnesota has a pretty good defense. So that's why I would go with Patrick. Cade Otton gets you 13 without a doubt. Yeah, no, I totally agree, Eric. Don't forget on TikTok, and we have a few people still on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Hit the follow button. Definitely hit that follow button on TikTok. I go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Friday, Saturday mornings. And then I went live this morning before kickoff, and then I'm going live now before the game. I'm probably going to jump off here in a second, but Detroit Lions, I think it's the way to go. Okay, Flacco. Well, so Eric, are you answering the Flacco or Patrick? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I tend to think that Mahomes against Tampa Bay, I think Mahomes can put up another 19 spot. I don't know that Flacco's going to do that against Minnesota. And the offense in Kansas City is relatively conservative. They're a defensive first kind of team now. But, I think Kelsey will be used. I think Hopkins will hopefully be used more than he was in game one. I think Reed will probably play mad scientist and add some things so that Hopkins is a full part of that offense. And that's why I'm kind of thinking that way. Should I start Baker or Flacco? Yee, is that your name? Bucks win tomorrow. Okay. All right. That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear it. Bucks. Look, I've actually thought that while I try to be objective. I'm kind of a Chiefs fan. I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan. I think he's a lot of fun to watch and he has a lot of fun playing. So I like watching him play quarterback, kind of the way I used to like, watching Michael Jordan play. But I do see this as one of those games that Kansas City could lose. It is at Arrowhead, so that is a plus from losing it. If it was in Tampa Bay, I would think, can they have games there? Did something happen? Nothing happened in their stadium, right? But my thought was like, this is one of those games that they could be overlooking, for whatever reason, and they could lay an egg. If Mahomes is off, that whole offense goes around Mahomes. There's only so much Kareem Hunt can really do, There's only so much he can do. All right. Start Baker or Flacco? I would go Baker because of the consistency. I think Baker still gets 20 points. I don't think Baker gets 12 points. I think Baker gets 20 points. He'll probably he might not throw 3 touchdowns, but he'll probably have at least 2 touchdowns. He does run with the ball, so he'll get some points that way. Maybe he'll score once with his legs. I just think Flacco going up against Minnesota, that game could get away from Flacco in a hurry. So that's 1 point. Plus, Flacco's only gotten 19 or more points 1 out of the 3 games that he's played. So there's nothing to make me believe that, this is going to be, a game where he gets over the 19 points. And why 19 points, why I'm bringing this up constantly is in a 10-team league, you want your quarterback to have 19 points or higher week in and week out to average that. And that's a good recipe, if you will, to win week in and week out. Week in and week out, so you'll win that way. Down 8, I have Jefferson. He has downs. Think I win. Yeah, I do. I think Jefferson should have a pretty decent game. The only thing that scares me is, will Jefferson play? Will he be needed all 4 quarters? I could see Minnesota up big on this. I will tell you everybody this again, and let me just sort of use this as a reminder. I've been a little off on the way I thought games would go. I did think the Rams would beat Seattle. I thought the Falcons would beat the Cowboys by more. Let's see. I'm just going through some of these. I thought the Eagles would beat the Jags by a lot more. Okay. I thought the Bills would beat the Dolphins by more than 3 points. The Bengals and Raiders was about what I thought, actually. Chargers and Browns, actually, I thought the Browns would score more points. Titans and Patriots, fine. That 2 bad teams, I don't care. Commanders and Giants, probably 1 score away. Probably what I thought. I did not think the Saints would lose to the Panthers, especially with Derek Carr back. So I say all that. Hey, Bob. Bob's back. Thank you for the roses, Bob. The reason why I say that, oh yeah, the Rams slapped you. Yeah, Seattle did not. Yeah, I mean, that was a tough game. Those overtime games are really, really, really. Wait, the Rams slapped us. The Seahawks are bums. Wait, so I don't understand. So which team did you want then? I'm confused. Yeah, the Rams played Seattle, so you don't like either one. Or am I complaining about that? You wanted the Seahawks. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, good, Bob. Yeah, I wanted. I mean, yeah. Well, you have Geno on your team. I don't know if you started him. I can't remember if you said you did or not. But yeah, that's one of those games that. But I was telling people that I thought Stafford would have a pretty good game. I don't know if I told a lot of people that. They would give me two quarterbacks and I would do the research. I'm not one of those guys on TikTok that just names names. I do the research and I tell the people online. But yeah, I was a little surprised. There were games today that are surprising. That's why I think, okay, the Minnesota game, let's face it, Minnesota Colts, it could be a blowout by halftime. It could be 28-0 Minnesota, right? I mean, they could be putting pressure on Flacco. Jefferson could have 2 touchdowns. Jones could have almost 100 yards kind of by halftime. However, every way that I've been thinking has been the games haven't really gone in that direction. So, it's probably going to be much closer. It's probably maybe going to be like Vikings win like 30-20, and it's 15-10 at halftime or 14-10 at halftime or 17-10 at halftime, that kind of thing with the Vikings and Colts. It just seems to be that way today. Teams that I did not think New Orleans would lose, and they did. That's a scary thing. Okay. Quinn Vern says Hockenson or Otton start and sit. I would start Otton and not Hockenson. And there's 2 reasons. Hockenson, and they're related. Hockenson has been out for a while with the injury. Hockenson has, they even said, and I read this someplace, that Hockenson probably won't get as many plays. He won't be involved in so many plays. You got to kind of let him get up to speed. What did he have? A right knee issue, an MCL, ACL. So it's going to take 2 or 3 games for him to get fully back up to speed. So that's why I would start Otton. I do think Otton, he won't get 24 points like last week. I can't really project that kind of game, but I think he gets you 12 to 15 points. I think he gets you 80 yards and maybe a touchdown, and that puts you right in there. Right. CB Mexico, haven't seen you in a while. Hey, RIP Olave. Yeah. What happened to Olave today? Now, when you say RIP, you're making a joke, right? I mean, he is not the same guy, right? I mean, the last couple games, and did he get injured today? Or was he just not having Olave has been discharged from a Charlotte, North Carolina hospital and returned to New Orleans. His teammates following Sunday's game. Olave needed a cart to get off the field following a big hit in the middle of the first quarter. Oh, he'll be subject to the protocol of head injuries. Yeah, Olave is. Oh, I don't know what to do about Olave. I really started to like him. I was seeing it with Derek Carr back, but now he has the head injury protocol, and that's going to change a lot of things. So, IBN Turbin, should I start Flacco over Baker? I think Flacco gives you maybe in the teens. Yeah, Bob, you're right. JSN had an amazing game. I think Flacco gets you in the teens. I think against Minnesota, Flacco gets you 16, 17 points. I think Baker still gets you 20 points with the Chiefs, and that's why I lean towards Baker. I think Baker had 24 points last week. You can throw against the Chiefs. He has Otton. He has White, who he throws a lot to. White has more production out of the backfield catching the ball than he does rushing the ball over the last 2 weeks. So that's why I would go with Baker. Bet thanks. I was thinking Otton also. All right, Quinn Vern. JSN is amazing. Yeah, he had an amazing game. I just don't like JSN, Tank Dell, Tank Bigsby to a certain extent. I don't know what to do with these guys. Like, I want to like them, and I want to tell you guys, start them. I even want to say that with Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, that's the thing I always think about. I want to tell you guys, start Marvin Harrison Jr., start Tank Dell. But just when I think they turned a corner or that they get it, they flop. they have a bad game. JSN is up and down. DK will be back. And then what will that do to JSN? I mean, there's all of that like drama behind it, but I want JSN to be a top receiver. I want that to happen. I just don't see that as something that's going to happen anytime soon. I think next week he could lay an egg. He could get 4 points. I mean, that's just the way that his season's gone. All right. If you're on TikTok, and the majority of you are on TikTok, and I thank you for that. YouTube, we have a few people. Don't forget to hit follow. I talk fantasy besides tonight, but I talk it Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, sometimes Friday, Saturday mornings, and then I'm going to try to be a little more consistent on Sundays. I was live before all the kickoffs this morning, but hit that like button or hit that follow button, hit the like button as well. Especially YouTube and everybody on TikTok. Hit that follow, hit that like. Yeah, JSN did have an amazing game, though. There's no doubt about that. So anyway, the game's starting. I'm going to head out, guys. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit follow. I don't think too many people have hit follow since I said that, but hit follow so you know when I'm on live tomorrow and Tuesday and all, next week and all that kind of good stuff. So thank you all very much for watching. Bob, I'll talk to you probably, if not tomorrow.